Detective Comics 1057, Mariko Tamaki writing, Aminke Nihilpin on the art. This is part 11 of 12 of the Tower storyline. And Batman showed up at the end of the last issue and is
fulfilling
here.
Pete's fears.
Yeah, to an extent, yeah. It's
now a Batman versus Scarecrow story, and I don't care.
I think that's too harsh. I think you're.
It is, but out of anything, if I had to guess what Connor was going to say, that would have been it.
I think like this had a really interesting, if not always amazing, but interesting first 8 or 9 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I had some pacing critiques, but overall, I was into it. And now it's just, it's Batman versus Scarecrow again. We just did that.
Hindsight being 2020, I wish they had seeded Scarecrow a little bit more. You know, kind of ramp up the kind of fear around the tower. You know, however, I don't mind where this is going because I kind of like the idea of him wanting the Medusa mask.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That makes sense.
Is that him wanting Psycho Pirate's mask is a new way and a new avenue of creating fear in people and controlling fear. That's actually quite a nice idea. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like that idea. So I kind of agree too with Connor with this become Batman vs Scarecrow, but that's the part I don't care. That's the part I care least about. Because I like all the other moving parts.
I was worried a little bit at the start because it seemed Batman focused for the first 4 pages or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then it did start bouncing around to Tim, Steph, and Huntress, and Cass. I think Cass gets some of the best moments in this issue.
Yeah.
Cass gets to jump in. There's a page where she jumps in to kick someone towards the end, and she gets this full page almost of just this in silhouette kick. She kicks the mask off Scarecrow. That's what it was. It's a really nice big moment. We also deal with Nakano's wife, kind of try to convince Psycho Pirate to help and try to stop Anna Volshin from killing them, which leads to the big cliffhanger at the end where she's the one who puts on the mask, and it's been sort of setting up the idea that she needs to control her fear and has been struggling with that. So it's kind of a big deal for that character to finally have something. And possibly this is a dangerous thing, that the idea she's going to have too much control now. And that's something they can play with. But thematically, that made a lot of sense to me that we have that as a cliffhanger here towards the end of the story.
Yeah. Kind of wanted to see Scarecrow put the Medusa mask over his gas mask, just to see that visual.
Well, you see him wearing it, but obviously he's taking his gas mask off.
Yeah, he's taking the gas mask off, but just because, to me, his true self is Scarecrow, not Jonathan Crane, right? That's the whole.
I will say,
to me, that's what makes him click.
It was an interesting visual. I do think Scarecrow typically still looks really nice in this. Whenever you see panels of him in his mask.
That's that new design really working, isn't it?
Yeah. It just works almost in every scenario that we've seen it in. There's some stuff with Harley protecting the pharmacy supply from the, what do you call them? The gang.
Party Crashers.
Party Crashers, there you go. Lady Clayface has a quick appearance in there.
That one confused me, because was she just laying low and then comes to help Harley?
I assume she's technically been here, but she's just been looking like a whatever person she chooses to.
Yeah, that's okay. Because that was the thing that got me, is I was like, oh, okay, well, this is just out of left field a little bit, but it makes sense given Lady Clayface's deal.
Yeah. So there's lots of chaos. It's they're evacuating the building. We see various Bat family members helping with that. Cass at one point has someone on her back dangling down the side of the building. Tim and Steph are moving people out and directing them outside. So it kind of feels like they're cleaning up the chaos that's been created in this situation as everything's kind of crumbling. Penguin's sending in men to try and get all the supplies because he wants at least something out of this because Dr. Ware owes him so much. So I really like the panel. See when Batman confronts Scarecrow. I like that he's got Batwoman, Cass, and Tim with him. I did like that. It did feel like more of a unified front as the issue went on, because I was worried in the first few pages that it was just going to be Batman and everyone else is just a side character.
Yeah, it's still the commitment
just
that
Batman. But
what Connor?
It's not just Batman, but it still feels like, okay, Batman's here now.
Well, I do like that it's a commitment that Detective is still the team, the Bat family book.
Yeah, it felt more evened out to me once after those first few pages. It felt like it was bouncing around everyone pretty equally. And then I did like that when it builds up to the ending where Nakano's wife puts on the mask. I love that it cuts to day 67, which is far beyond any time we've seen. The idea that this tower does become some functioning version of itself in the future, the near future, obviously. Not a month's time.
Right.
It's like a month later or whatever. But it shows that the tower still exists.
Yeah.
With Chase there beyond.
Right.
The scam.
And she's getting therapy and talking about stuff, and then the big ending. So it's this twofold thing where her putting on the mask is a big deal, and the reflection of the Bat family in the mask is kind of a cool visual or whatever. But it's also that reveal of, oh no, there's a future for this place. That's actually the big reveal here at the end, is that there's a future for this building, and it's going to function as a hospital for people who need it.
Right. When someone that does actually care about doing it, not just trying to collect money, that it can work. You got to overcome that corruption of Gotham.
I dug that at the end. So,
the art on Hopin, I really like the fight scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Huntress and Anna Vol'jin, I think that they really focus on the like good parts of a fight, but then in other parts that aren't necessarily action sequences. So like Pete brought up Cass kicking the mask off of Scarecrow, but then there's other stuff where just like Scarecrow has the mask on in one and then not, and it's kind of there's little pieces missing.
There's something really smart he does in those fight scenes, like that one with Huntress and Evolution, to give it a real sense of motion beyond just their moving.
The streaks
and the direction that it goes in, like so it's like the red background. So at first, it follows the motion of the attack. So Huntress dives and it goes down, and it goes across with Vol'jin, up with the kick for the knee to the face.
On a similar note, I don't know if it's when Cass kicks the mask off. It probably is, but it may be somewhere else. Where you see the mask is like bouncing on the ground, sort of away from whoever's grabbing for it. I thought that was a nice little touch in the art as well to make sort of feel that.
And again, that sequence has a similar thing with the background lines, where when Cass is coming in with the kick, the lines are coming towards, and then across with the mask kicked off, and then outwards with the motion of the bouncing of the way. It really gives you the direction of movement with that background. I think that's really clever.
Yeah. Really solid put together. Penultimate part of the story. Your taste in Batman being involved at this point might vary, but I don't think it's sidelined the characters. It does sideline Nightwing, because they say Nightwing he's going to take him a day to recover from the fear toxins.
That makes sense, though.
I mean, I'm okay with that, because I never felt like Nightwing was one of the... I always felt like it was focusing more on the ladies than it did Nightwing up until this point.
It was... Babs was quarterbacking it until Bruce shows back up. So she's the one that's kind of taking the lead and is organizing everybody to get to the right spots. And then Dick takes it to, he's the one that goes deep undercover, but he still calls into Oracle to let her know what's going on. That helps. Yeah.
Plus, Dick actually has his own book, unlike all the other characters.
Right.
But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was fairly happy with the issue. I think there's some really interesting stuff in how it's done.
I've liked this more than I haven't by quite a margin. You know, like there's little things that stick here and there, but overall, this is a pretty good Batman story. Well,
Bat family story. Bat family story. Maybe a better way of putting it. And then the backup, which does take things intentionally. We have a biggest time jump yet, probably, because our character who does get named in this issue is now a middle-aged man with a family, and it even says just a few days prior, which is a bit awkward given the timeline of everything else going on, but let's just say basically present day. Right, almost present day is the idea. And
does he get named in this issue?
No, you're confusing the characters, Pete.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Why? Who gets named then?
Elliot Maslow was his buddy that got in with Penguin.
Okay.
Orphanage.
Okay. All right.
The dark-haired kid. Yeah.
All right.
So we still don't know who the kid is, because as far as we know, he doesn't show up in this.
Yeah.
This part, this is the first
when
time.
the guy is like, they think he's harboring the Joker. Who he's actually harboring is our mystery character that we've been following. So we
think is the Joker because we see the Joker in the first page show up with that fedora.
We're set up to believe it's the Joker, but
right.
Obviously, we have been lied to.
Right.
That's what you do in stories.
And I'm willing to believe that wasn't Elliot Maslow, that was Basil Carlo.
That would make sense.
What we know here, but yeah, so they're going to the water. Basically, the where the water supply kind of runs through Gotham, and Batman put in a tracker or a device that if anyone messes with it, he gets an alert because he doesn't want Joker to.
The famous like first Joker attack on the city is usually poisoned the water supplies, so this is kind of like a reference to that.
Right.
And Joker looks kind of weird here, which is why I was getting the impression that this is our character dressing as the Joker, because the hair kind of makes me think more of that character.
Yep. That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, but what I liked about this though is that Batman and Jason are investigating this family and they're tracking him down. I also thought the Family Guy was the kid. I did confuse that.
Sorry.
But when they go into the sewers, I did kind of like this idea that he, like, all the villains that he's been kind of friends with throughout the story are what jump out at Batman, and this is some kind of a trap.
Yeah, they ambush them all. Jason gets Croc, Dick gets Clayface.
Yeah, Tim gets Scarecrow. Yeah. So, and that's their big kind of thing. And then the water comes flooding into the sewer system at the end. So it seems like this character has arranged some kind of multi-villain trap for Batman, and what's effectively present day. Like I say, it's like just prior to the ongoing stories right now.
Yeah, because we have Jason in his full-on crowbar gear.
Yeah.
With the half mask instead of the full helmet.
I think that's the slight disappointment, right? Is that we kind of jumped maybe so far that we missed some interesting elements.
Yeah, because we were predicting last issue, like what, or maybe 2 issues ago, what are some of the time periods we might go into in the last few issues, and then it's just like, oh, we're present day, okay.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still looking forward to seeing how this ends, but I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't see some of the other cool stuff that we could have done.
It was also a very narrative shift in this issue, because we've been following that character in every part of the story, and in this one it kind of shifted to there's something weird's happened and Batman's investigating, so obviously it's going to tie in, and that character's going to be an important part of it, but it was told very differently to the previous 10 parts.
This felt a little bit more like a regular Batman comic.
Typical.
Typical, yeah, it's a very good word, as opposed to the unique story we've been following.
Which, don't get me wrong, I think works because you have that in your brain the entire time that this has to tie into that previous stuff, so you're kind of waiting for the links, you're waiting for the...
Because we're thinking this kid's about Dick's age, right?
Given when he met Dick as a kid. Yeah,
give or take.
So now to jump from where he was in the last one, which is kind of maybe late teens, to during No Man's Land, we're jumping like maybe 10 years.
He's a similar age to this, and maybe a little bit younger than the other guy, right? The Family Guy.
Yeah.
The Family Guy looks a bit older, but maybe it's just
it's the receding hairline, Pete. It ages you.
Yeah, very good.
I'm still here for all this because the Blanco art, like
on Blanco's art, while still good, this issue and the last one, I am feeling very slightly that, not consistently, but there's the odd face here or there that's not been up to the same standard, that I'm thinking maybe he was rushing slightly towards these last couple.
Yeah, I commented in a few proportions last issue that felt a little bit off.
Yeah. I felt the same here. There's one on Batman's face, not the very last page, the one before, the top panel. His face just feels slightly off.
Yeah. Well, that too, just Batman from the neck up, because there's the page where you see Croc behind Jason.
Yeah,
the close up of Bruce, the head looks a little bit weird.
Yeah, and I think this is just a case of it's 12 issues he's done every weekly, and while they're only 10 pages, that's still essentially 2 issues a month of a regular artist, and I think maybe he didn't quite have enough lead time, and just very slightly, and these last couple, it's like, okay, he's kind of just rushing towards the end now. But overall, it's still pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Matt, what are you giving the main story?
An 8.
And the backup?
7.5.
Carter, main story?
Oh God, I'm gonna sound so negative, as always, right? But a 5. It's fine, but it lost me a little bit with this swerve towards Scarecrow at the end, and I feel a little bit checked out of this final act of the story.
Yeah, I'm going straight 8 for myself. What was your backup score?
Just 7.
Yeah, backup for me is like a 7, I think, as well.